if other folks join us in a little bit, we will just bring them in and bring them up to speed. So thanks everybody for joining us today. We're going to talk today a little bit about rules of etiquette for interacting with folks that have low vision or persons who are blind. And that will basically, I'm going to do a slideshow that gives a few simple directions, and then I'm going to play a video, which I hope you guys will be able to hear. And the video is from our IAAIS conference that we had. And it's a really neat opportunity for us to hear the voices of folks that are either blind or have low vision, and also that work in our environment, right? They are people that are working at reading services across the country. So it's just a neat opportunity, and we wanted to highlight the information that they share with us. So with that in mind, we'll get started on that, but I also want to have folks introduce themselves before we go. We have a smaller group today, but I know a couple of folks asked if I would record this and send it out to them later. So we will include that for other folks too. But as you know, I'm Trish. I'm the volunteer coordinator. And the other thing I'm going to share with you is that if there's something in the fall that you enjoy doing, or you enjoy a book you'd recommend for the fall or something like that, just because as we get to this fall season, it's still 80 degrees out. So let's encourage ourselves to think about fall. Maybe it will bring cooler weather. But one of the things I really enjoy doing in the fall is reading, as well as getting out to see pumpkins. Have not yet gone to the pumpkin patch, but plan to do that hopefully this weekend. And right now I am reading the E. Jean Carroll book, which is surprisingly funny. Yeah, so really enjoying it. So that's what I'm doing for the fall. How about you, Pam? Would you go? Oh,
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna grab the book I'm reading, but that's okay. Um, I'm reading a book currently called The Woman Who Could Not Be Silenced, and it's a true story about a woman in the 1860s um, who was her husband committed her to an insane asylum because she didn't agree with him completely, and at that time women had no rights.
wow.
So it's an interesting read. Um, what do I like doing in the fall? I like being able to wear a sweatshirt out on a cool morning and take a walk. And
Let's cross our fingers on that
and
soon.
and after I lived in Arizona, I discovered how much I enjoyed the changing of the seasons and seeing all the leaves turning in the spring and in the fall.
Thank you, Pam. Oh, and Pam, will you tell us where you are and what you read?
Oh, okay. I'm here in Lawrence, and I read the Northeast Kansas City papers, which is Platte County, Atchison, Leavenworth, and Weston. And
Hmm.
I also read books, and I'm currently reading a book called The Secrets of Mary Bowser about a woman who was a freed slave who became a spy for a spy ring during the Civil War in Richmond, Virginia, who just happened to work for my ancestress. So it is also a true story, though the book is a fiction.
Mm.
Okay, thank you, Pam. And then I'll go ahead and go over to you, Connie, if you would introduce yourself, just share where you're at and what you're reading or what you read for audio reader, but then something you like to do in the fall.
Okay, hi. Yeah, I'm Connie Dawson. Originally from Kansas, moved back to Kansas about 6 months ago. So everything's kind of in upheaval, just the process of moving, but things are going well. I read on Thursdays for the Springfield News Leader. And one of the things I'm really enjoying right now is kind of being back in this part of the country and getting to see the changing color. So a few weeks ago, we went up to Minnesota, and it was a little before the peak season, but it was still beautiful. Driving along Lake Superior, and next week we're going to pop over to Bentonville and see if we can see some leaves and check out things over there briefly. And one of the things on my list is to get to the library and try to get going with a book club over there. So, anyway, so thank you.
Sounds great. Travel
Mhm.
and get into a book club, all those sounds good. Thank you so
Thank you.
much, Connie. And Connie has really just been with Audio Reader in the last, 6 months or 3 months, maybe. Gosh,
Yeah,
time flies, doesn't it?
it does.
Okay, I'm going to have Olivia go ahead and introduce herself too, and it's wonderful to have Olivia with us. So go ahead, Olivia.
Hi, I'm Olivia Goodwin. I just started here at Audio Reader. I'm an intern. I'm a communications and outreach intern, so I work with Martha a lot. And something that I enjoy doing in the fall is watching movies. I love like Hocus Pocus, the old Halloween movies. And I'm actually going to a pumpkin patch later today, so I'm excited about that as well.
Perfect. And I'll just share for Pam. Olivia was so neat that when Olivia first started and we were talking about different, you know, the things that we read, we showed her Pam's instructions, and Wilson County is listed there. And Olivia's like, I'm from there. So
Yes.
very cool. Okay. If Michael, would you go next? And then Mary. Sorry, Michael. Oh, we're still not hearing you, Michael. Oh,
Might turn your volume up.
okay. Michael, we'll give you a second and we'll go to Mary. How about that? Good.
Hi, I'm sorry I was late. What's up? What
Well,
do we
we were
do?
just welcome. We'd like you to introduce yourself. Tell us what you read for Audio Reader or how you volunteer at Audio Reader, since yours is a bit several things. And then we are trying to bring fall by talking about the things we love to do in the fall, since it's still kind of 85 degrees.
Yes, I know. I'm Mary Caranda. I have been with Audio Reader. It'll be a year in January, I think. I started out as a temp at the desk while Colin was touring with his band in Scandinavia. And then after I was done with that, they asked if I would like to just be on, call kind of. And I said I really didn't need to be paid. So I just started volunteering. And since that time, I have learned, started doing some reading, and I am not prepared to commit to a regular weekly schedule. So I look every day and see if there's any pink things listed, and then, or tomorrow, and then sign up for those. So it's been interesting. I do telephone reader and in the studio. They're a little different routines. So when I get in there, I have to kind of rethink, okay, I use this headphone and this works this way. And I don't have a time frame if I'm on telephone, but if I'm on the in studio one, I have to keep an eye on the clock because I have 59 minutes and I like to talk, so it's hard for me. I always find things to read that probably they haven't ever heard before, like the estate sales or whatever. And in the fall, the thing I like to do, although I haven't been able to do it as much this year yet, is start to bake again because all summer you don't want to fire up the oven. So, and there's all kinds of good apple recipes and things. So that's what I like.
Okay, well, we're hoping for cooler weather. Okay, Michael, is your microphone working, or we can just,
See, can you
okay.
hear me?
Oh,
No?
yep, yep,
Yep,
yep.
yep, yep.
Okay, good. So I'm Michael Shopper. I read the Breakfast Table Times for Sunday for the Kansas City Star. And fall, what do I do? Well, actually, I like to sit around a fire. Just it used to be you could burn leaves, and that was the most relaxing, nice smell, but can't do it anymore. But yeah, just sitting around a campfire is a crisp, cool evening and making s'mores or just small talk.
Lovely. See, we're bringing all this fall energy. I'm hoping it's going to happen for us. Cheryl, are you able to share, or do you want us to just say hello to Cheryl? Oh, good. Okay. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl.
Okay. So yes, I feel like I always run my errands during this time because I figure I can just listen. But so I read Friday mornings, um, the Kansas regional papers. So that's like South Kansas City, the Martin City Telegraph, and then also the Leavenworth Times, the Beacon, and the Olathe and Johnson County News from the Kansas City Star. So that's what I do on Fridays. This month is very interesting because pretty much every weekend I'm gone on a travel trip of some sort. And so in the fall, what I normally like to do is hike and backpack and camp. It's been a little warm, but we're making our first trek next weekend. So that should be fun. And then let's see what else. What was it? One more thing. Oh, what am I reading?
All right, thank you much.
Probably nothing. But you know what I've started doing is have you guys seen the Great British Sewing Bee at all?
No.
I heard about it.
I'm in the background or when I'm doing different things, I have it on because I sew. And so really I've been watching all the episodes. I'm on season 8 now, and I think there's like maybe 11 episodes. But they're very British, so they're very, proper the way they explain it. But it's been fun to watch that. So that's been my lately, not reading, but watching the Great British Sewing Bee.
Sounds fun. I do the bake off for sure, so I may have to check out the sewing bee. Sounds great.
Yeah, it's free on the Roku channel, like just through the internet and things like that. But because I don't subscribe to very many of those like TV movie things. So anyway,
Well, thanks for the
anything
share, Cheryl.
else? Sure. All right, thanks.
Okay, wonderful. I'm so glad we all are here to share in this. And as I mentioned, I'm going to be recording this, so I'll be sharing it out to other folks too, because there were a few others that were interested but not able to attend today. And actually, see if I can, there we go. Hi, Robert. Hey, good to hear from you, Robert. Robert Phillips. That is one of our listeners who also recently published a book. How are you doing, Robert? Okay, we don't hear you, but that's okay. We're just getting started on the next section about.
Microphone. Can
Oh,
you hear
there
me
we
now?
go. Yes, sure can. Hi, Robert. We've all
Hi.
just introduced ourselves. Would you like to introduce yourself to our group? We have about 6 or 7 of us here.
I'm Robert Phillips. Uh, I've used Audio Reader in some form or another for many, many years. I just did write a book called Big Boys Don't Cry that has been recorded by your Audio Reader program, and I just want to become more involved. So, and this is my first time joining this meeting,
All right. Well,
but I do have my cup of coffee.
that's wonderful. I'm so glad you're here, Robert. Well, today our topic is around rules and etiquette that we like to encourage our volunteers to learn about how to interact better with folks that have low vision or folks that are blind. So I would love it if, as we go through this, you're welcome to share any of your insights as well. We'd be glad for those. Today, what we're using is a video that we did with our IAAIS colleagues, which those are folks that are from all the different reading services across the country. And they did an accessibility task force. And that brought together about, I think there were 5 different individuals, and they all shared different insights that would help folks with sight to be better advocates and better aware of our colleagues that are folks without sight or with low vision. So, with that in mind, what I'm going to do is start this slideshow presentation. And then I will talk through the first few slides. And then from those first few slides, I'll play a 5-minute video. And then after that video, we can chat about it. And if there's any questions folks have, or if anybody has any comments they'd like to share, experiences that they've had, that would be wonderful. And then after that, we have about another few slides that I'll go through and another 5-minute video that we'll watch. So it's kind of going to be slides and conversation, a video, a little more conversation, slides, video, conversation. So that gives you kind of a heads up of where we're going with that. So I will go ahead and get started then. Let me share my screen. I will, as you all know, Trish is not the most wonderful in her technology. So bear with me as I share this. And great. Now, what I will do is share what each of these slides say, and that will also be one of the ways in which we are encouraged to provide our presentations is to also share verbally what we see on the slide. So this first slide says, let's learn some rules of etiquette, blind and low vision best practices. And of course it has a woman there with her sighted or her seeing eye dog. And so then I'm going to go to our next one. And as I mentioned to you, the videos that we're going to be watching are from IAAIS Accessibility Taskforce. And this slide gives the image of each of the people that are going to be on the task force. We have Penn Street and Evan Starnes, and both of them are from Aftersight, which is a reading service in Colorado. Penn is an interesting woman in that she is very much interested in the outdoors, and she's going to be one of the people that talks the most in the video. She does hiking and she does alpine skiing. She's just very active and interested in advocating and also podcasting too. She has a great podcast called The Blind Chick, and I will send out information on that. It's a wonderful podcast. She does a lot of interviewing on that one. And then Evan, you'll hear him talking just a little bit in the video too. And again, he is the tech person for, he does the production technician for Aftersight, which is the reading service in Colorado. And Evan is just a really neat guy too. It was lovely that we got to meet all of these folks when they were here in June. So those are the only two I'm going to introduce, but there are 3 other folks that are on the task force that but you won't hear from them in this particular video. If you are interested in more of the video, we have the full length one available for you all to listen to at another time too. But we just picked out some of the different ones. So I'm turning to another slide. This one, it says the handout example, and there is a hand holding a Braille handout. And it was a really neat way at this task force panel. They handed out a handout at the beginning of our wonderful session. And that handout was in Braille. And it was a really tactile and clear message that oftentimes at a conference, handouts will be passed out, and they are not handouts that are accessible in any way, right? They may have very small text. They are not provided in Braille. There is no audio that goes with it. And so it was a good example to say, hey, when you're going to do a presentation, make sure that you think about the other ways that you might provide information to your audience. So that was just a very clear message and really was appreciated by the audience. The next slide says, speak softly and say your name. And that is truly one of the things that we find folks sometimes think that if you have low vision, you have low hearing. And that might be the case, but it's likely not. Which is also similar to, if someone doesn't speak English, suddenly we're yelling at them, right? So just to kind of get yourself thinking about that, just because there's one sense that is lower does not mean that all are. And so speak softly, but also introduce yourself. Okay. And then the next thing is this slide says that it's okay to say, see, look, watch. Oftentimes we as sighted folks feel uncomfortable saying things like I saw something or I read something. And I'll let Penn speak more to this in the video, but it's okay. Those are words that are not bad words, can be used easily. And then the next slide says, but avoid ableist phrases like blind leading the blind, or lame, or turn a blind eye, or it fell on deaf ears. Those type of phrases, which we use in common conversation, can just they aren't necessary. Be more creative. Find a different way of saying it without putting one certain population in a box. So just thinking about our language is something that Penn will talk a little bit more about as well. Okay. Then the next thing is to be a mindful guide. And this slide shows Patrick Swayze, who of course was, in the wonderful Dirty Dancing movie. And Patrick Swayze is saying, nobody puts baby in a corner, right? So be mindful about how you use language to be clear and direct when you are offering assistance. And so that's what the next slide says, is just to use clear and descriptive directions. And again, I'll let Penn speak a bit more clearly to this. And then the last one says, watch out. It is important to be very clear if there is something going on that a person with low vision or a person who's blind could get themselves hurt. And be direct. Stop. Don't do that. Wait. Those are very clear things that it's okay to say and you should say. So okay, those are the slides that are going to go over this next section of a video that I'm going to share with you all. And what I hope you'll be able to hear it. And I just like to I wanted you all to have a chance to be a part of this panel discussion. So I'm going to push play here, and if you do not hear it, please let me know.
Best practices when it
That's
comes
Kevin
to
talking.
just interacting with us and working with us. Now, you guys should have some handouts at your tables.
I have them with me, Evan. I was going to ask Marigold to come up from Georgia and just hand them out. We don't have enough for everybody, but if you guys,
that's okay.
Mike ran out of paper, but if you can share, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, feel free to pass them around.
So this is like one. So does that make sense? Okay, awesome. Thanks, Marigold.
But yeah, feel free to pass those bad boys around. And if you would like an accessible version of this handout, let us know, and we will be sure to give that to you at the end of this presentation.
So I'm pausing there. Did y'all hear that? That was the Braille handout being passed around. So just that's kind of what's going on there. Okay, and everybody hearing it okay?
Yes.
Now we're going to go ahead and go over the best practices for blind etiquette with Penn.
Yeah.
Take it away.
So thanks, Evan. You feel free to read along with the handouts that Marigold is handing out to you. And there is going to be a question and answer after all of us have a chance to speak. So keep your questions until the end. Rules of etiquette. And some of these we did hear in the video. Speak in a natural, calming voice to people who are blind and low vision. It is possible that we are deaf or hard of hearing, but it's more likely that we're not. And so don't take it for granted that we can't hear. You do not need to talk louder and slower to us. Thank you. Because we will actually think you're special if you do that. And address us by name. Just like you, we have names. We like to be called by our names. Just be make sure that, or if you don't know my name, ask my name, just like you would anybody else. If I didn't know Becca's name, I'd like, hi, I'm Penn, what's your name? We like that as well. Address us personally, not through someone else. We ran into this a little bit at the airport yesterday with our driver with the van. He spoke to my husband instead of talking to me. Thank you so much, Marigold. Again, we'll think you're special if you start doing that. Greet us when you come into a room, or if we're standing talking in a group. Introduce yourself and greet us, again, just like you would any other person. Because if you come up and you're just standing there, we may or may not know that you're standing there or have joined our group. And we want to include you just as if you would want to include us. Also, this is really important, is indicate if you're going to leave the conversation or leave the room. So we're not just standing there talking to a wall or dead air. That is embarrassing for us, which I'm sure it'd be embarrassing for you. Feel free to use words. This is huge. I hear this over and over again. You can use words like, did you see that movie? Or did you see that? Or look over there. It's okay to use those words that refer to sight. And we do not think the word blind is a bad word. So it is part of our vocabulary and it should be part of yours. We use words like, I'll say, I read an awesome book, you know, or I saw this incredible movie. So it's okay if we can use the words, you obviously can. So don't be afraid. Do not, this one is also funny. Do not leave us, if you are giving a sighted guide, don't just leave us over in a corner and walk away. It is a little bit awkward. Most of us up here, if not all of us, are going to say something, but there are people, especially if they're shy or they're new to vision loss. If you're their sighted guide and you brought them to a party or into a conversation, don't just leave them there standing. If you do need to step away, that's fine. Just let us know. It's a little nerve-wracking being left in the dark, literally. Another one is just be calm and clear when you are giving us directions. Use words, descriptive words. We're all in audio in here. Use descriptive words like to your right, to your left, straight ahead, behind you. Becca was guiding me to the restroom earlier and she was spot on. Thank you, Becca. Also, if there is an emergency, if one of us is about to fall into a manhole or something, don't just scream, watch out! Because guess what? We're not going to know what that means. Or even if you're talking to us. So Penn, stop. You're about to walk into a manhole. Also, if you're driving in a car with somebody who's blind or low vision, it's really freaking annoying when all of it, this including my husband, if he's back there, after 35 plus years, he still does this. Wow, that's awesome. What does that mean? Or there's a moose. We're from Colorado. There's a moose. Oh my God, it's amazing. Okay. Tell me more. Like, is it a mama moose? Is it a baby? You know, what is it? Give us some descriptions. So we really, really do appreciate that.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take that, stop my sharing for a second and see if there was, that's kind of covers that first set of slides. Any questions or thoughts or anyone wants to share? Go ahead, Connie.
You know, I get hung up in trying to I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I get hung up in trying to describe a photo in an article, and I'm so afraid to offend anybody. Like, I'm afraid to say there is a woman standing there. You know, I'm afraid of some descriptions as it might bother people. I don't know.
Right. I hear you.
As safe with moose, I would be okay in saying it looks like a baby moose, but that's about it, you know.
picture description can be very challenging. I definitely agree with that. But it is certainly a way that we make our reading more engaging, and provide. And I also I know that everybody is different. You know, that's one of the reasons we love to do these type of trainings, because um, one of our listeners might really enjoy in-depth description of pictures, and another person might find it not very helpful at all. Um, so I think sometimes we try to fall in the middle and be able to provide at least a little bit of description of that photo, and especially if it has a component of it that really helps the content. So that really makes a difference too. But yes, being able to say there's a woman reading a book and not feeling uncomfortable about speaking to those type of things, I think is good to be given that permission. And the Accessibility Task Force, or any of our folks that can share that type of information with us, is very helpful too.
Thank you.
Okay, Robert, did you have anything you'd like to add, or did any of those things sound familiar to you or beneficial?
Uh, yeah, yes, they do. I have some vision, so I'm not totally blind, but and this is just something I thought of. Where the most irritating thing to me is when I go to a restaurant, and especially fast food, and they tell me, "Well, look right up there." Well, they don't know I can't see. It's not their fault, but still I'm irritated. And then I have to explain, well, I'm low vision and I can't see it. So could you explain it to me? That's one thing. The other thing is I read a lot of audiobooks, but I do refer to as, or I listen to a lot of audiobooks, but I refer to it as reading. And sometimes I catch myself, oh, well, I really read it. I really listened to it. I didn't read it. But my wife and my close friends have figured that out, that I can't read, so they know I'm listening. I think that's
Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. Appreciate those insights. And I think that helps us to kind of sometimes think about how we can share things more visually, give those kind of cues about, where things are at in a more direct way than just that up there. Okay, well, unless anybody else has any other questions, we have one other video that I want to share with you all. And before we do that, I'll just share my screen. And as always, it will take me a moment. But
Also, they covered.
Pause that. Okay, got it. Okay, so now we're just going to go back through a quick round of our slides here to give us a little bit of overview of what is going to be in the next video. One of the things that we always like to encourage our volunteers to do when they are interacting with folks is just to ask, if you might need assistance. As Robert was saying, people often can't, you might not be able to tell if somebody needs assistance or not, or if somebody has low vision. Maybe a person is walking with a cane, and so you can't just assume that they need assistance, but you can ask. And that is one of the things that really allows that person to speak for themselves and gives them that agency. Sometimes folks do need assistance, but more often than not, folks kind of know what they're doing, and they're navigating through as they would. So again, this next slide says hands off, and it shows an image of a gentleman with a cane, and it also shows a guide dog. And today is White Cane Day, if you didn't know that. So white canes definitely is a way folks are aware that a person has low vision. As Robert said, that just because a person has a cane doesn't mean that they are blind. They may have some vision. And so It's important to recognize those are tools, and those tools are the person's and not ours to touch. So just to keep that in mind and be respectful and aware of that space. The next slide is about guide dogs and also about sighted guides too. This slide shows that there's a dog with, typing on a computer. So he is at work. And remember that guide dogs are at work when they are helping their person. And then also to talk to the person, even if that is a sighted guide, as well as a dog that is a guide. Sometimes we ignore the person and speak to someone else. And it's always important to keep our focus on that person when we are having a conversation with them. And again, I'll let Penn speak to this a bit too. She speaks to PowerPoints and photos and presentations, which as I move to this next slide, I'm saying that it's important to be descriptive when you are giving a PowerPoint presentation or a presentation in general, and sharing with folks what visually is occurring and not making assumptions like look at your handout and those type of things, making sure that you have accessible options for folks. Okay, and the last one is talking about doing an audio selfie. This is kind of speaking to at some of the conferences we've been at, and I don't know, Robert, if you've ever been to a conference that they've done this at, but people will stand up and describe themselves when there are folks in the audience that are persons who are blind or folks that are low vision. And in that, they often will say things, they'll talk about like, I have brown hair and I'm wearing glasses. And sometimes that's helpful, but what Penn speaks to is that she'd like to know more about the person instead. And so it's a neat way of thinking about it. So I'm going to say that that's kind of people's homework to think about how you would describe yourself with an audio selfie. So then the next slide has people cheering and dancing. And it says etiquette rules help everyone. And again, I'll let Penn speak to that, but the primary piece to take away from that is that any of these rules that we talk about are really for everyone. It doesn't just help the folks that have low vision, it helps all of us and better live in community together. Okay, I'm going to go to that next video. And again, it's just about 5 minutes, and I'll let them let Penn take it from there, make sure I've got the right spot to, yeah, okay. If it'll start for me.
I said, nope, I got it, but thank you for asking me. Great, if you do, I'm over there, just holler. Really, really do appreciate that. Also, they covered this in the video. Is Kathy out there? She was at breakfast this morning. I went up to grab some coffee because that's what I do first thing in the morning. Kathy was awesome. She came up and she said, Penn, it's Kathy. Do you need assistance? And I said, nope, I got it, but thank you for asking me. Great, if you do, I'm over there, just holler. Perfect. Don't take it for granted that we need assistance. Even if we look like we might need assistance, still ask us before grabbing us or just doing it on our own. Again, they covered it in the thing, and we will say it over and over again. Please don't grab us, touch us without permission. You would not like it if a strange person came up and grabbed you, or your device, like your purse or something that's important to you, your phone. Please don't do that to us. Just ask, use your voice. We really, really appreciate it. Our tools, our white canes, our guide dogs, they are to us, they are our lifeline to our community, to our world. It's okay to ask us about our cane. It's okay to ask us about our dogs, our phones, any devices that we're using. But don't grab them. If you think we're stepping off of a curb into oncoming traffic, it's okay to say, excuse me, I'm Fred. There is traffic coming really fast. Like, it's okay to tell us that, but please don't grab me. Don't grab my cane. Again, we usually will cross the street way safer than any of you sighted people. So we really, really appreciate that. And then with service dogs, I know mine is semi-retired, so he decided he didn't want to come out of the room this morning, and I allowed him to sleep in. But I think there is somebody else here with a service dog. When you're around service dogs, again, it's okay to talk to the person, not the dog. You know, you can comment, oh my gosh, your dog is so pretty. It does help when you say, because I get this all the time, oh my God, how beautiful. And I say, why, thank you. Because I think they're talking to me. It's okay to say your dog is beautiful. Or there's a lot of new canes out on the market. And as we move forward in the future, there's going to be more and more. It's okay to even say, wow, that's a really cool cane. Can you tell me about it? We may or may not be able to tell you because we're going from point A to point B, but it's okay to ask us about the tools that we use. I do have just a couple more that are specific, more to the workplace, is when you're going to do a presentation and you know that somebody is going to be in the audience that's blind or low vision. I have a feeling nobody in here is going to be doing a presentation that is super top secret. You know, they'll have to kill us if we knew. Send it to us ahead of time, when possible, several days, so that we can actually go through it with our accessible device. So in case we have questions, and even if it is some sort of surprise or unveiling that you're going to do, just tell us, you know, this is for your eyes only. It's okay to use eyes. You know, please don't share this information with your coworkers because it is something that we're unveiling and we don't want the rest of the staff to know. That's really, really super helpful for us. And then during presentations, again, be descriptive. You sighted people love your PowerPoints, which is good for you. And often we find that you sighted people just basically read, which I never could figure that out. And that's actually great for us that you're a reader. But if you're not one of those people that reads what's on the screen, please start doing that. We are part of the team. We're a critical part of the team. We need to know what's going on too. It also helps you be a better instructor, be a better presenter. If you can present an accessible format for everybody, it will help you in all of your future presentations. Let's see. Again, if you're showing a film clip like Jennifer, if you can please include audio descriptions, you can always pause and put it in. You don't need to be a professional audio describer to make that accessible for us. When asking for audience participation, please do not exclude us. You know, again, we're part of the team. When asking people to raise their hands, you know, which has already happened today, we're not blind shaming you, but well, we kind of are. But when you ask people to raise their hand, it's okay to say, hey, clap, do a little clap or tap on the table instead of just raising your hands. And then also ask your audience to introduce themselves. So when we were talking about this a little bit earlier, and I think all of us may mention this. Yes, audio selfies. We really don't care if you have purple hair or green hair or not that we don't care. Excuse me, it's not that we don't care, but it's not necessarily helpful. But what we do like is we want to understand who you are. So if you say, oh, I'm a techie geek and, you know, I live in a cave down by the river, that puts a picture in my head. Yeah, exactly. It also, and I do want to make sure all of you, I hope you found out everything that I mentioned is not just for the blind and low vision world. It's for all of us. If you take these rules to heart and use them throughout your life, you will find out that it makes everybody's life easier. Even when you walk up and say, hi, sorry, Becca, I'm picking on you. Hi, I'm Becca. What's your name? Trust me, everybody in that group is going to go, oh my God, that's right. Her name's Becca. I thought it was Betsy. So all of these etiquette rules are for all of us. And so Thank you all for listening to me. And at the end, we will have lots of questions and answers.
Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing there. That was the last of our video, and that really brings us to the close of the presentation component of our meeting today. But I wonder if anybody had any other thoughts or questions about what Penn shared, about any of those ideas on etiquette rules that we use to interact with each other, and just to make sure that we include our friends that have low vision or folks that are blind too. Anyone? Okay. Well, I definitely know that from personal experience, one of the things that has been really beneficial for me is to try to be aware of welcoming people into a group and being aware of saying when I'm leaving a group. And that's something that I had never really thought about, but I really have found it to be beneficial. Because, yeah, if you are a person that is low vision and somebody leaves and you've been having a conversation and suddenly you think that you're talking to them, but they're not there. And that's something that I think I forget to do often. So that's one thing that I try to just continually do and remind myself to introduce myself and to acknowledge when I'm leaving a group when we're having a conversation. So, but these are just small tools that we can use to better be able to interact with our listeners, but also to interact just in the general community. Any other thoughts that you wanted to share with us either, Robert? I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I'm loving that you're joining us today. So if there's any other thoughts you have, I'd love to have them.
Well, the one thought I have, and by the way, I'm 80 years old, so my memory is kind of
80 years young, Robert, 80 years young.
and so it is nice when people come up and say, "Hey, I'm Margaret," or "I'm," and because even if I could see, I probably didn't remember their name. But no, that's a very kind thing that I think a lot of people,
Yeah.
and a lot of people do. But it's nice when you introduce yourself, even though they probably already know who you are.
Yeah. Well, and I've always thought about that thing about aid dogs and things like that, that those dogs don't need to be distracted from doing their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I might admire the dog verbally, but to the owner, but I'm not going to go up and pet it and have it lick my face or whatever, because I know that that's distracting and he's getting away from doing what he's there for.
Right.
And so I've always kind of thought about that. And I guess as far as the introductions, that makes total sense. I'd rather know about a person than what they look like.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that's going to be our homework. Folks can try to take a moment to think about how you would describe yourself in an audio selfie. So I think it's a fun way to think about it. And it, as often is the case with accessibility, when we think about things differently, we learn, we are better able to engage with our community, and we are more inclusive, and we benefit from it. We all do. So but that is really all the time we have for today. I can't believe that it's already about 3 o'clock. I do want to just thank everyone for taking time to be with us. I will send out a video of this, and if anybody has any questions, I'll also send a link of the rest of that, because the task force had that panel that lasted about an hour and a half. So there were lots of other information to be provided there, but the next one that we're going to be getting together on will be in November, and we're going to have some folks presenting from Lions Club just to share about our connection to Lions Club. Lions Club, of course, is a big supporter of our telephone reader service, but they also do lots of things in the community, and we certainly want to highlight some of the things that they do too. So we'll be talking about that next time. And we also, in November, like to discuss topics that folks are interested in for the rest of our, virtual coffee bars in the next year, because we do not have a meeting in December since there's just so much going on for holidays. So lots of things to think about. I sure hope we get some fall weather. And again, thank you all for being part of our conversation today.
Thanks, Trish.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I
Bye,
enjoyed it.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.